Hi, ever wonder what it's like to work another profession or live in the underworld? Listen to unsuspecting riders give a 10 to 15 minute personal masterclass as I spontaneously interview them as they enter my taxi. I'm your host, Simon Rushton, and this is Taxi Chronicles. Morning. Yes, we're back. Another episode, another rider. Today, driving in East London, I picked up the lovely Riel, all the way from the Philippines. She's been here for 6 years, and she's going to tell us about the culture shock of where she came from in the Philippines to arriving in London. So nice to have you here today.
Hi everyone. How's everyone feeling? Hope you're all having a good day. I was just talking to this awesome guy, and
Just talk a bit louder though.
I was just telling him how it was such a culture shock moving from the Philippines. I think growing up in the Philippines, when I left about 7 years ago, we didn't really have a lot of foreign neighbors yet. It was the same people you grew up with since you were a kid. So when I moved here, although I spoke English well and I watched a lot of
city in the Philippines, or
we were in the suburbs. So it's just outside the city. It's 20-minute drive outside the city, and we'd also have a place in the city also. But yeah, when I came here, when everybody spoke English, it just sounded like alien to me. It was definitely something I had to get used to. But everyone was lovely, super welcoming. I love the diversity here. That's why I've stayed for so long. It's been a really great
what was the major culture shock apart from the language? What else?
I think when I first started school, I was the only one in class that didn't have makeup or anything. Everybody was wearing makeup.
When you say school, what were you talking? Primary school, secondary school?
I actually jumped straight into I don't know if you know the IB diploma, International Baccalaureate.
Okay.
Yeah, they made me do that when I was 15.
What is that? The IB diploma?
It's A levels, but more extreme. You study 8 subjects.
Eight A-levels?
Yeah.
Whoa!
Yeah, so it was a
My
bit
daughter's
crazy.
struggling on 3. I've struggled on 1.
Yes, when I was 15, I think I was the youngest in the class.
So what was the age group of people there?
When I started, they were 18, 19.
Oh, so it's college and university.
Yeah.
Ages,
So they enrolled me quite early on to the IB, but it was a struggle for sure. Because I kind of jumped straight into it.
Did you do the 8? Did you complete the 8 A-levels?
Yeah, I did. I did it for a year. I ended on 34 points out of 45, so it wasn't that bad. But when I was doing research, universities wanted GCSEs, and I didn't have that yet, so I had to go back do GCSEs.
So even though you got 8 A-levels,
Yeah.
they didn't want you because you didn't have GCSEs.
Yes.
That's quite backward.
It's there were some universities that accepted it without GCSEs, but I didn't want to be limited in my choices, and I did GCSEs for just a year, so it was fine. It was all good.
You got some big brains, boy. Big brains. So what was the subjects you studied?
So it was my higher levels were maths, chemistry, and biology, because I wanted to be a doctor that time. And then the other 3 were English Lit. I can't remember. English Lit. Oh, so long ago.
Okay.
I can't remember the others.
They're impressive. What you're doing is impressive. Okay. So
Yeah.
what were the other social things? You spoke about communication. How long did it take you to be able to feel comfortable when you communicate with people?
Honestly, it's something communication is something I struggle with a lot. It's my bane of existence. I'm a natural introvert. I'm not really like an extrovert. I'm not really like super outgoing. But I knew it was like an essential skill to have, especially in this country. So I kind of just forced myself I took on a part-time job where I had to deal with people, because I knew I had to get over it. Because in the Philippines, my parents were very like protective of me. They would always shelter me, lived very comfortably, and then here, the reason I came here, I kind of wanted to be more independent. And one thing I wanted to tackle was being able to talk to people, converse with people, and now I love it. It's like what I do for a living, like sales and dealing with clients.
Okay. So you threw yourself in the deep end and you came out.
Yeah, it ended up being something I do now for a living, which I love.
So tell me, what was the job that you took on to fight your introvert shyness?
Actually, funny story. Obviously when I came here, I had no experience. In the Philippines, we don't really do part-time jobs for me and my school. Like our parents pay for everything. We live super comfortably. So when I came here, I had no experience. So I was lucky. A family friend works for this family who owns a gourmet. They own a lot of businesses, but they had this gourmet ice cream shop in South Kensington, where you serve fresh ice cream with liquid nitrogen, so you would freeze it on the spot. So you make it super fresh, in front of the customer. So that was my first job, actually. It was a great experience. Definitely, it was very high pressure because you had to make the ice cream and talk to the customer, and you'd only have. Yeah, exactly. And oh my God, there was one time when the store was so full and there were only 2 people. But yeah, it was a challenge, but I learned a lot from it, for sure.
How long did it take you to learn to make the ice cream?
I had to pick it up quickly, obviously, because I wanted to impress
your team?
Yeah, I mean, and the boss that I was working for, he was a family friend. Obviously, I didn't want to let him down. And it was my first job, when you don't have any experience, you really treasure the first job you ever get.
And you feel proud.
Yeah, and I compared to my friends, as my friends would never do jobs like this back home, because they're all very privileged and whatever.
Well off.
Yeah.
So what did your parents do, and why did you move here?
You mean in terms of work?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my dad is a doctor / businessman back home. He owns a lot of businesses, but his main passion is being a doctor. He loves it. And my mom is a nurse, so she left when I was a baby. She came here, obviously, because nurses don't really earn that much back in the Philippines. So she moved here. So I kind of grew up with my dad. And then my mom was naturalized as a citizen here, and obviously they'd want me and my brother to have the opportunity to get a British passport. So that's why they moved us after we finished high school in the Philippines, which I'm super thankful for. My parents gave me a lot, and they sacrificed a lot. My mom had to move here. Yeah, and I love them, and I'm repaying everything they've given me, and make them proud.
They say the way you show how thankful you are to your parents is by bringing up your children better than they brought you up.
Sorry, repeat that?
The way you show how you're thankful to your parents for bringing you up is by bringing up your children better than they brought you up.
Oh, that's a good one. I've never heard of that before.
That's the way you show
That sounds amazing, for sure.
Which of course will involve them.
Yeah.
Because you always allow the grandchildren to spend time with their grandparents.
Yeah.
It gives you a break, but they also get the added virtue of life experience.
Yeah, that's true. But hopefully it won't be a bit hopefully it will be a bit farther off than now for me. Still a bit early for me.
I understand. So what's the future hold for you now?
Right now, I've recently joined this job actually, and I really love it. But I have other ventures that I want to pursue. Something I learned from my dad, I picked up from my dad when I was growing up. He kind of instilled like this entrepreneurial mindset on me, like running your own business is awesome. And I definitely I want to help support the family business. So right now I'm just focusing on doing well in this job and then help my dad out in super near future. And actually I wanna try living in another city. I've lived London, but I wanna try live somewhere else.
Birmingham, Manchester?
No, outside of the UK.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Yeah, I want to try actually New York. It might be fun, but obviously not right now. It's a bit crazy there right now.
Yeah. So what would you say you've learned that you wish you knew when you first came to England?
That's a really good question. I think I would have changed to be more, I guess, open-minded. I was sort of very closed off to people, and I think it's the thing that makes the experience a whole lot better is the people, and they just add a lot more like value to your life. I met some really great people. It's just I was very like hesitant. I was like focused on doing like studies and everything, and I think if I could change anything, I would be more like I would add in a bit more fun, or I would talk more to people. For sure, yeah.
Why were you hesitant?
Oh, it's because I was so scared of people. I remember my first few days when I went to school in the UK. I had the worst anxiety attacks. I would literally be shaking when I talked, so I wouldn't talk. Otherwise, people could tell like my voice was shaking. I was so embarrassed. And my brother came to that school a year before me, so he was super popular. Everybody loved him. Blah blah blah.
So he was very confident.
Yeah.
So he's your older brother.
Yeah, he's my older brother, and like. And then meanwhile, I'm like the shy one. But yeah, everyone kept coming to me and saying like, "Oh my gosh, your brother's so great," blah 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 blah. But yeah, I think that one thing I would change is just to push myself more outside my comfort zone and like talk to people, meet new people. But yeah.
Which rises into the next question, the second to final question.
Yeah.
What would your be to somebody who's going to leave the Philippines and consider coming to England? What would be your words of advice?
Words of advice, I would say just be yourself. Don't change who you are just because you're in a new city to the core. But also be open-minded, like do your best, like study well, but also have fun because you know, like life is short. You don't know what's gonna happen. So while you're doing life, have some fun. Also, work hard, play hard. I really believe in that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks for that. And the last question is,
Yep.
What's the impact you want to have in the world?
Oh, that's an awesome question. Impact on the world. I want to be able to. Actually, one of the main reasons I love the job I'm working at is because we get to help a lot of people be more confident in themselves, and I hopefully in the line of work that I do, and also when I pursue my other ventures, I want to help people have the courage to go after what they want in life, and not be afraid, and just inspire them to I just want to reach a lot of people really and help them have the courage to do what they want and get what they want out of life, I would say.
I wasn't going to ask you, but I'll ask you now. What are these other ventures that you're talking about? You've brought them up 3 times.
Yeah, for sure. I want to help. My dad owns a hospital back home in the Philippines, and it's a really great hospital. My dad, obviously, Philippines is very poor. We don't have, it's all privatized. There's no support at all for healthcare. And the hospital, my dad would very often give free medical, like on his end. Like he wouldn't charge his patients for his service if they really like can't afford it. So that's the kind of hospital my dad brought up since I was a kid. Like they don't turn away people who really need it, and I definitely want to continue the business. And also I want to get into real estate, of course. That's something I have a friend who's in real estate, and he's given me a lot of insight, and advice, and it seems really fun. But yeah, those are just some of the ventures I definitely wanna get into near future, hopefully.
Well, thanks a lot for that interview.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
Much appreciated.
We hope you liked that interview. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to get the latest daily episode. Ever considered investing in the continent with the fastest growing economy and population on Earth? The same continent that holds 30% of the world's known natural resources? Then listen to our sister podcast, Africa Investor Stories, where you will hear real investors with real stories from around the world share their experience of investing in Africa. We post Monday and Thursday at 10 a.m.